What's happening, ladies and gents? Welcome to another episode of the Ready for Anything podcast. So we're here for another live hot seat. We've not done one in 2 months, and you'll notice that I am not Josh O'Neill. Josh is no longer here. No, Josh is still inside Ready for Anything, but he stepped down. He's head of client success, and he's actually back in the role of being a coach. He was a little bit stretched, had a lot of stuff going on, and we just knew he wasn't getting the best out of himself for what he was doing and just out of himself. So bit of a change around, but it's obviously myself here now. Today we're joined with Connor Armstrong. We're going to talk about Connor's story, how long he's been in the program, what he's done, where he came from, his background. Connor's been through an incredible journey. Like, we've only been working together for a short space of time. Like, when you actually compare it to a lot of journeys, 6 months, and the guy's achieved so much. He went from someone that literally did not do any kind of training that he does now to actually competing in a tough mudder at the weekend. He signed up for half marathons, and he's just reaching this level of athleticism that he never ever could have imagined that he'd be operating at. So it's going to be a really, really interesting story, and it's going to be just a good chat, to be honest. So please enjoy, guys. I think just to kick things off, man, like, if you could summarize and bottle up and let everyone know your story and who you are, Connor, how could you summarize that in the best possible way?
So my name's Connor. I'm 24, and for about 21 years of my life, I was somebody who, in terms of athleticism, was always like, all right, I was decent. I played football growing up, as everyone did in Scotland. I went to the gym from about 2020 onwards, but I just always felt like I was just the same as anybody else. I felt very average with my training. Like, I went through a big weight loss transformation on my own, but even then, I never felt like I was committing myself to a higher standard. And then I would say in the last 6 months, genuinely just my life has changed, because I've now had a group of people around me that just push me to, like, beyond my limits. And it's I'm somebody who likes having a laugh. I'm somebody who likes taking a joke with everything, but I'm somebody who has found a new version of myself in the last 6 months. And I'm not just the class clown. I'm actually somebody who can be the class clown, but also the guy who's going to outwork everybody in the room.
Yeah, love that, mate. That fucking hunger mentality, man. So to give everyone, like, obviously you've kind of given us a bit of a brief insight to who you are now, what's kind of changed and stuff. What was life like before joining Ready for Anything? Like, let's rewind back the clock to, like, December, mate, and thinking back to, like, sort of, like, if you were to kind of, like, paint a picture where you were at in 2023, what would that look like to get everyone up to speed?
Yeah. So myself, I'm actually a coach myself. I've been a personal trainer since for about 10 months now, so back to last August. And just very obviously, when I started, I put a lot of time and effort into, building the business, new PT. It takes a lot of time, and my own physical fitness just got disregarded a little bit. I trialed a couple of different styles of training. Like, I tried more like powerlifting, that type of thing. It just wasn't for me. And it got to a point in November, December, where I hadn't quite got back up to my peak heavyweight from about 3 years ago, but I'd got to a point where I wasn't very happy with my weight, my physique. I was genuinely very unfit, and I was at a point where it was starting to affect me mentally, because I was going in every day with clients, trying to push them to a higher standard, and I simply just wasn't holding myself to it as well. And I'd already met you, and you just came across as somebody on social media who, you just, I know it's like one of the RFA things, was like, you just said what you said you would do. And I was like, you know what, there's something about this guy. I feel like he motivates me. And I actually just wanted to try something completely different. Like, I was like, you know what, let's just draw it all back, blank canvas. Let's just create a complete new version of me. And it was just like a completely different person mentally, especially physically, 6 months ago. So mate.
Yeah. What was completely different about it? So obviously you were chasing, you wanted to be completely different, you wanted to reinvent yourself, step up, be a different person, which you have done.
Yeah.
But what has been completely different about it?
My complete difference is just the fact that it's the crux of it is that I now look at myself in the mirror, and I don't just see so in my past, obviously I went through the big weight loss transformation. Like, I lost 3-4 stone like a few years ago, but even then I was still just looking at myself as, like, just Connor, who, like, knows how to lose weight, but that's all he'll ever be. Like, he's Connor who went through weight loss. Whereas now I'm looking at myself in the mirror, it's like, I'm Connor who, like, if I'm telling myself I can portray and act like an athlete, then I can train like an athlete. And for me, it's the fact that I'm looking at, like, different trainings now. I'm looking at things like half marathons and high roxes, and, like, I just done Tough Mudder at the weekend, and it's like, I'm looking at this stuff going, like, do you know what? Is that going to be hard? Yeah. But do I know in my heart of hearts that I'll absolutely smash it? Yeah, I will. Because now I'm somebody that knows that I've just got, like, I've found this whole new level of training, but I've now got so much belief in myself that there's still infinite levels that I'm going to find as well. So it's like every time I've got a new goal that I want to hit, it's like, right, that's going to be hard, But in that time between now and reaching that goal, I'm going to find another new level of myself.
Yeah.
So that's what the exciting thing is. It's like there's no longer any ceiling. It's like a glass ceiling that I know I'm just going to break through.
Yeah. Bit of a diamond in the rough, innit? Like,
Exactly.
Like you knew you had this potential, but it was like,
Didn't know how to find it.
how do I find it? How do I get the best out of myself? What do I do? You obviously mentioned there about being like, going through like a big sort of transformation. And now I know that you've overcame so much, and you actually used a really good analogy about that 60-40% new Connor.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I know that's advanced even more from them, but like, when you talk about that older version of yourself that would hold you back and limit you, what did you struggle with, and what have you really overcame? Like, what would you say is the biggest things that you've really overcame since being in Ready for Anything that you struggled with for a long period of time that you kind of thought was almost part of, that was it? Like,
Yeah. So I would say, so like I said at the very start, there's like, so my whole life, one thing that has never changed or will never change is that I am somebody who's like, I like to have a laugh, I like to have a joke. I love making people laugh, and that's never going to change. But one of the things that it's like a bit of a cliche thing, but in school, I always had like issues in high school with like bullying and that, just because I would take the piss so much, it would be quite easy to just almost like walk all over me. And I think what happened is that, you know, we went into lockdown and I was living at home, let myself go a little bit, which, you know, a lot of people did. It was a weird time. But what happened was that I came out of that, you know, the tail end of 2020, and I was like, I'm never really gonna, like, this is just me. Like, I could lose weight. And for me, it was always the fact that I was just always thinking that people are never going to really, like, I was always looking for other people's validation. That's the main thing. Like, I was always looking for, I would wholeheartedly say that up until about like a year ago, things that really used to matter to me were like what people were saying to me, likes on Instagram posts and that. Whereas now it's like my number one critic and number one motivator is myself. And I do all this, I've made the change, I've been in RFA for me and only me. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that, like, for the first time in my life, the number one thing that I focus on is how do I feel about myself. And I'm not trying to say like the sob story of like, oh, I had a terrible upbringing, like I had a great upbringing, but 22, 23 years of telling yourself that you're pretty much average, it's hard to get out of that mindset. I think that's the biggest thing that I can say about the last 6 months, is that I'm out of that mindset. Yeah. But like, you're always going to have moments of self-doubt, like it's part of human nature. But the difference is now is that I have these moments of self-doubt and I know I can overcome it. Like, I have a bad day, it's okay, it's one bad day. It was like one bad day previously turned into a bad week and a bad month, and before you know it, it's like 3 months down the line and I've done nothing.
Yeah. What's like, because I can relate so much, mate. Like, everyone's been through these journeys in their own way, shapes or forms, and when you see yourself through a certain lens, it's a hard thing to change. What's been the most sort of notable? I know there's been lots of points, and I know it's not just been like one point that like it went ding, but like, what's been like your most sort of like notable points for you? Like, if you could highlight one or two key points inside RFA that just could be something that was said, something that happened, like, what would they be?
So I would say there's a few main things. So the first one was quite funny. So obviously when obviously Ellie joined up in about January time, and I was like, I'd already been with you guys for maybe about a month. So I'd done my first few sessions. They were hard, but they were manageable. And I remember a turning point maybe was that like one of like Ellie, it was maybe like her first or second week. And I remember she like programmed me something. I remember doing them in the gym. I remember coming out of it thinking, oh my God, that was like absolutely mental. But it was amazing because I was like, right, if I could look at that program there 6 months ago, there's not a chance I would have had any belief that I could do it. And it was like, that was the first point where I was like, okay, maybe I've actually got a bit more fitness in me than I think. I would say another point was obviously, an obvious one was obviously the photo shoot. Like, for me, I'd lost weight before, and we can maybe get onto that later, but I'll always stand by the fact that I don't actually think it's that hard to lose weight. I don't, like, realistically, if you actually got a bit of a plan and accountability, it's not actually that hard. But when I'd done the photo shoot, it was the first time in my life where like I was so excited with my body. I was so excited with like how I looked. And there was actually a point about a week after the photo shoot where I was taking my photos for you guys on the weekend, and I took my front photo and I just had like some abs there. But the turning point was not, oh my God, I've got abs. The turning point was, I've got abs. But my main focus was on just the performance side and wanting to improve my ability next week. So that's the big thing. Is like, I'd spent up, as I'm sure so many people do, I'd spent so many years building up this thing of like, I just want abs. I just want to look toned. And I did look toned. But I was now in a place where I'm like, you know what? it isn't all just about how you look, it's about how you perform. And the difference is that I've realised now is that you can have both. You can be in good shape and perform really well. But because I had that ceiling before where I couldn't break through, I never would have realised that. And I would have also always thought, if I'm going to be shredded, then I can never be quick and strong as well. And then I would say the last one was the retreat. We went to Spain and I was like just surrounded by you guys and the other clients, and I was like, you always say that it's like, oh, you want to create a family with your clients and that, but that was like, I've had coaches before, I've had good coaches before, nothing against them, but that's like, had that feeling of like, it's like a family here. And it's like, even though, you know, those people that I went away with, I might not see for months on end, when I do see them again, it's like you've been away for 5 minutes. And it's that thing of like, the relationships that I've created in RFA now, like, you know, I might be with you like for 100 years, mate, but there'll always, there's always going to be that sense of like, comfortability there, because like you've been through such a big change with me, and this has only been 6 months, so it's exciting to see where it could be in like, I don't know, a year, 2 years.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, and you obviously came along in the retreat. 8 you guys came along, and it was an amazing 5 nights. Like, honestly, one of the best 5 nights weeks of my life, man. It was just tremendous. And like, I was going to ask you that there, like, how did that affect you as a person? Like, obviously that, like, you being around those people, feeling that level of like you're part of something, being part of a bigger picture, like what changed at that moment?
So I would say that what happens, obviously, so I've been the coach since about, like, personal trainer since about August now. So when I'd got to Malaga, that had been me doing it for about 6-7 months. And for anyone who's like a coach or personal trainer, especially like a new personal trainer, like, it's that sort of thing is that you're at like the bottom of the bottom, so you've really got to like graft hard to work well. But I realised that when I went to Malaga, it was really simply the first time that I'd actually just been able to be myself again. Like, there's PT corner and there's corner, and that was the first time in a long time where I just felt like for a period I could just be myself again. And it sounds mental, like, of course I have, like, obviously there's days where I don't work in that, but that was the first period, and it was so special because I was surrounded by people that just meant that I was just relaxed. And the difference is that I was surrounded by like there was other coaches there was you guys there, and I got to know these people on like a much deeper level than like I ever would have if I hadn't went on the retreat. And what I learned was that I'm not alone in the fact that what I do as a job is incredible, but it's always going to be time consuming. And what I learned was that, do you know what, it's actually a fun journey. And it actually just reminded me, you know what, you've actually got a really, really good life. Like, you're surrounded by good people, you're living a good life. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that it's now taught me a lesson of like, just try and take each day as it comes. Like, try and make each day a win. Like I said before, you're gonna have bad days. It's human nature, but it's about not allowing those 1 bad days to turn into 3 bad days. And I mean, overall the retreat was just sick. It was brilliant. I remember like driving up there the first time, and then like from the distance going along the motorway, and you looked up at the villa. And it just looked like it was like something that you'd see in like one of these TV shows where it was like a millionaire was buying their home. And I was like, I'm staying there. Wow.
Yeah. It isn't that really landed with what you said there about like the connections and relationships that you build. Like, I've been in different coaching communities and been right in this sort of personal development mission for a while. And the one thing I always notice with clients is, as people go through like a journey of progression, it changes their perspective and the way they go about things. When you want more from yourself and you have conversations like that with other people, it can almost kind of ruin other conversations, man. Like, it can actually make you realize like what you actually want to talk about, what you actually want to think about, who you want to be around and stuff. How has that impacted other parts of your life? Like, obviously you're now this, like, you've got into the shape of your life, got into the absolute condition of your life, like proved so many limiting beliefs wrong. You've got this trajectory that you're on now, like this, like Connor 2.0. What other parts of your life is that really, really impacted that you didn't expect it to impact?
That's a really good that's a very good question. So I mean, the first and most obvious one is that one thing that I never like, it has made me a better coach. It just has, and that's not just because like the style of training that I've been doing is like, I've obviously learned more about that. That obviously goes without saying, but so I think that I've always said that if you're somebody who's confident in your physical shape and your ability, it naturally just transcends and goes into, you're just a more confident person in general. So you're more confident in your decision making, you're more confident in your abilities in certain sense. And like, I'm still a new coach, but being an RFA and having this like literally life-changing transformation of my self-confidence. It makes me more confident in my abilities as a coach, of like, just even things like when I'm like saying stuff to clients, I'm giving them things to do. It's like I've got more conviction on what I'm doing, and that's a big word. Like conviction, like it's a word that I knew what it was, but it's never something that I'd really like relate to myself. I just feel like not like a RFA's term. It's like that one of those old adverts where it's like, I was born in Edinburgh, but I was made in RFA. It's like not
Royal Navy,
from boy to man. But no, it's true. It's in the sense, it's like, it's just in the sense of physical capabilities, and in terms of my adult life. So say if you say that my life started at 18 years old, I could say that RFA's helped me in the last 6 months go from boy to man in that sense, because I feel, obviously you're always going to question some decisions, again, human life, but I feel like I'm more conviction in what I do, my actions, what I choose. And one other thing that I didn't realize is that it's like your circle, as you call it, your inner circle, is like, to succeed, I feel like all I'll ever need is like a couple of close friends and like the RFA guys. That's all I really need. You don't need like hundreds and hundreds of people like bumming you up and telling you how amazing you are. It's like, as long as you've got those people around you that are going to hold you to a higher standard, that's all you need.
It's your boardroom, innit?
Exactly, mate. It's like you see a lot of people, it's like a lot of celebrities, it's like they're just surrounded by yes men. And what I'd say about RFA is that, obviously, you are yes people in the sense that you're always like, obviously you congratulate me, it's like you motivate me, but you've also got the ability to just like push me when I need pushed. And I'm somebody that likes to think that I'm quite a motivated guy on my own without that, but it's that knowledge of knowing it's like, right, okay, I'm not going to slip up because I know that I've got these guys in my background that are going to give me a kick up the arse when I need it.
Yeah.
And it's always good to know. And it's not like a safety net, but it's like, I'm going to push 100% every time that I can. But if something ever happens and maybe like my standards drop for a few days, I know that it'll never be longer than a couple of days, because you guys are so aware of all your clients that you know how they all tick, you know how they work, you know how I work. So it's like, you'll know if I'm having a bad couple of days with me, usually because I go quiet, because usually I don't shut up.
Yeah. What really surprised you? Like, so obviously we've touched based on like how much it's changed you, certain things that were turning points, but like, obviously you've been coached before, but what made you, what were you most surprised about with all this? Like what parts of the sort of process or the coaching or Ready for Anything in general, what really kind of surprised you?
So, I mean, the first things first was obviously I know you said, obviously he's not here anymore, but like, obviously I had you and Josh at the start, and then I had you, Josh and Ellie, and now you and Ellie. So it's like the whole dynamic of having like multiple coaches has been amazing, because obviously like Ellie's like, obviously with the program, and it's like she's turned me into like an absolute like the best physical version of myself ever. And you've got like yourself, who's almost like the man of wisdom, almost like, I don't know what you got, like the Gandhi of RFA, that type of thing. And I've found that a really good dynamic. But the biggest difference is that, like I said, I've had two coaches before, and not a bad word to say about them. They were good coaches for where I was at. They helped me a lot. Like my first coach I had for 3 years, and I was a purely gym beginner. So it was good having that support there, because at the start it's things like, what do I do in the gym? How do I track fit? It's like your basics. But when I got to that period last year, like, I know how to eat well. I can do that. I know how to program myself, but it was all just decent. And one thing that I'd always known is that a good coach can like change like your mindset and like your life in general beyond just your physical capabilities. I'd known that, but I'd never experienced it myself. And I think that's like the first time that I've experienced that since being in RFA, is like, a good coach isn't just going to get you fitter. They're not just going to get you more confident. They're actually going to like change just how you operate as a person. I think that's the biggest change, is that I can genuinely safely say, heart on heart, hold a gun to my head, that RFA has changed who I am as a person. And obviously that, like other coaches that I had, they'd help me lose weight, they'd help me get a bit stronger and all that, but like outside of the gym and all that, it's like, would I say that I was like a completely different person when I started? In some sense, yeah, but now I can say I'm literally a different person to what I was in November in every aspect. And you could ask like close family friends, and that, it's like they'd say the same. It's like there's changes to me.
Yeah. Who's seen the biggest change in you?
I'd probably say my flatmate. Yeah. So I'd probably say, so my flatmate is like my best mate. I've been known him since start of high school, so you're talking like 12 years now. And I think the biggest thing that he's not, either with him or my mum, but they just notice that I'm more confident as well. My flatmate is also a client of mine, And so essentially he's been like, he's actually been through an incredible weight loss thing himself. He's lost like 40 kilograms since like October. But then since the turn of the year, it's quite funny is that I've started introducing like different things to his training program as well. And he's now starting to experience this, like he's actually starting to feel a bit fitter in that. And I think he's starting to notice that I'm changing as a coach. And that's what I said previously, like RFA's improved me as a coach. And the level of, the quality of service that I believe I deliver as a coach has been somewhat improved by being an RFA. So I would say that my flatmate's not the biggest difference in me as a coach. I think my mum would say see the most differences in me as a human, because she's probably my best pal. But my family see the most differences in me as a coach. So in every element of my life, different people are seeing different changes. And it's like, sometimes I'll just get a message of like, mate, you're different. And like, it's always funny, like when I see old school friends now from like 2 years ago, and I could look back at Connor from like 2-3 years ago, I know that isn't all RFA, but it's like, you could literally not have two further versions of myself. Yeah.
So it's completely changed the course of your life. Where do you see things at like 3 years from now, mate?
Very exciting. I don't know. That's the exciting part. Like obviously, what we spoke about before we obviously came here today was that what I've realised is that there are people in terms of the fitness and gym that have a mindset of they'll have like one thing they want to work towards, like a marathon or a photo shoot, and then after that they just take like a few months where they just chill, and then they have another big thing they want to work towards. What I've realised is that like it's great having something to work towards at different periods of the year, but there's no reason as to why you still can't be absolutely sending it like throughout the whole 12 months. And it's making me think like I'm now, so previously I could always say if I want to lose a bit of weight I can, but anything beyond that was like, oh, I don't know. But it's like I could say to myself in 3 years, like if I'm wanting to do, I don't even know, like an Ironman in 3 years, I believe in myself that I've got the ability in me and the graft in me that I can achieve it. I would say in 3 years I would want to be, I'm not even just saying this, like one of the fittest people in the country, like Scotland, Britain. And I don't mince my words when I say that, because like I said, like I've got that belief inside me that I'm going to work as hard as any single person in the room, if not harder. And it gives me that belief. It's like, and I'm sure you've noticed it yourself, like you give me something to do in the gym, I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to give my absolute 100,000,000%, whether or not I'm feeling like, even if my body isn't at 100%, I'm still going to give it the absolute most that I can. So my body's a bit tired one day and I'm only at 70%. I'm still going to get a 70% session, and I'm going to like leave everything, what's that saying? It's like leave everything out there. So in 3 years, it's like, it's exciting. It's actually nervous to think about where I could be, because where I was a year ago to where I'm now is like, oh my God. But 3 years, let's call it, let's say it, one of the fittest men in Scotland.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it, mate. So obviously, like insane, like unbelievable. And like I think you just need to look at, and anyone listening, like go and look at, follow Connor's page. We'll tag him in that on the show notes and stuff. But like you see where he's came from, and I think the biggest thing to take away from that, like what you said, where you were at a year ago to where you're at right now, you just need to look at that trajectory. That's the trajectory you're on, mate. And it's, you need to understand it just keeps going. I said this the other day, like a year ago, this weekend was an event I done a year ago, which was the biggest event in my life. And at that point, I didn't know exactly, like almost 1 year to the weekend, we'd be away competing in a world championship for another event that I wasn't even doing at the time.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest lesson in that, and even from what you've said and what I'm saying, is that when you do the work, when you show up, do what you said you would do, like there's no limit. The sky's the limit to what you want to do. And it's so easy when you've got this like sort of state of flow of inaction that you just ruminate what's not happening or what you can't do. But it's actually just understanding that it might not seem like loads of progress week upon week, because I can imagine you're not going to the gym every single week and feeling like I am significantly fitter than what I was last week, or I am significantly stronger, or my mindset has changed, or I have a completely different outlook and perspective. It's a compounding effect of having that mentality if you apply it over the next 52 weeks.
Exactly. So it's a big difference between where I'm at now compared to where I was like where I was at a couple of years ago, and where I would say a lot of like people that are maybe like beginners at the gym or something like that, like I've got belief in the process. Like you're saying, like I'm not going into the gym every week feeling like, oh my God, I feel significantly fitter, faster and stronger than last week. But it's that belief of like, I know that it's like every week, every single session. The way that I like to think about it is that every session I'm improving myself 1%. Because it's like 1%, like how much do you really notice 1%? You don't really notice it at all. But when you do 1% every day for 365 days, it's 365% better version of yourself. Now, there's nobody that's not going to see that difference. That's the biggest thing that I think people struggle with when they start the gym and fitness. Whether it's not just weight loss, it's like if they are trying to get quicker or fitter, stronger, that they're looking for like the improvements every day and every week. You're not always going to get it. You've got to just believe in what you're doing and believe that, right, I'm going to do this every day because in a year, I will be that person that I want to be. And if everybody had, I'm not trying to say I'm some like oracle, but I'm trying to say if everybody had that similar attitude, anybody could be a success. But it's just about having that belief and not just like what you're doing, but having belief in who's doing it for you. So I've got belief in you guys. It's like I've got no doubts that like you could literally give me, it's like that thing of like, you tell me to jump, I'm like, how high? It's like, I got a new program last week and I said to Ailey, I need to go and read an encyclopedia to understand half of it. But I know that's going to get me insanely fit and insanely strong. So I've got belief in it's going to work.
Yeah. I think like, over time, man, of doing this, like, there's something that I love saying to you guys is that like, if you were to repeat your day for the next 365, what would your life look like? And like for a lot of people, the God's honest truth is it's not that different.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of folk are looking in their day and their week to have like significant things. Like if you have practices in your day that involve overload, then you're jamming. Like, so see if your day starts off with something that like, if you were to do it like reading a book, for example, I'm not saying you need to read a book every day, right? But if I was to have like a clone of you, two corners, right? And you were to like follow the exact same blueprint, you were doing the exact same thing and you just had these like reflective lives of each other, right? But we gave one person a book to read every single day, right? How much different would life look in 7 days? It wouldn't look that different. It would be like the exact same. 14 days, probably the exact same. 365 days, the person that read the book would be better off. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not saying because what they read in the book, but it's what that would instigate in the process of doing that. And I think a lot of people just don't see the value. And I said it in last night's call that you were talking about listening back, is that people say don't sweat the little stuff. I'm like, no, do sweat the little stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's the little, everyone wants to make everything so big and grand. And I had a conversation with someone the other day and I was like, guys are really bad at actually not admitting that things are hard. Like, so see, like, they'll go like, oh, that workout was really hard. But they won't actually admit to themselves, and this is men that do this all the time, that actually going out for a walk in the morning is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's like not all the time. Yeah. Like, it's not that hard, right? But what I'm saying is like, but by actually underestimating the fact that that's something that you don't necessarily want to do is the thing that's holding you back because you think it's easier than it actually is to do that.
Absolutely.
Like saying no to not going out one night out, or actually try to have a night out where you go out and go in alcohol-free beers or something, or like you actually kind of go, I'm not doing that. But actually, like, it's not saying that that's the thing that's going to do it, but these are all these little instances and opportunities, sweating the little stuff that folk, because they want it to be like, what's the big workout you're going to give me? You've touched base on a lot of Ailey's programming and what we do and our methodologies, all these different things that like the things that we focus on. Yeah, these are going to help you, man. But like, it's about caring about the little things because I can just tell, Connor, when someone's actually going to go through a rapid bit of change by what they're behaving. Like, not what they're saying. Obviously, what they're saying gives a lot away. But I was talking about this last night to you guys as well. Action speaks louder than words. And what someone's tolerating, what they're accepting, like, tells me so much more than what they're actually saying.
Yeah. I'd say that really relates to, so growing up, going into lockdown, basically before I started with you guys, I was part of the very, very, I'll admit, even as a coach, I was part of with my nutrition, I was part of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday Warriors of like, I was always wondering why I was never like, basically the reason why I've seen such a rapid improvement in my relationship with food in the last 6 months is because it's like what you said, is like I've started to realise like I would always be like Monday, Thursday, like I'd like live and breathe a good nutrition, like I'd be all over it. And then I'd get to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's even when I first became a coach, I was like, right, okay, it's fine, I'll relax the weekend. It's like, it's not actually hard to eat well over the weekend. It's not, it's actually not hard. But it's because exactly what you said, I was accepting that as my norm. I was accepting like, right, during the week I'm going to be good, and then when it gets to the weekend, I'm going to like relax. Steps will be a bit lower, food will be okay, not as good, but it won't be that bad. But it's like, right, so if you're losing 50% of your adherence to, your walking or that type of thing and your food, that's 100% that you're losing out on over the weekend. That's like what you said of like reading the book. If that happens 1 week, is that going to make a difference? No, but the way that I say it, and it's one thing I like to say to clients, like if you're somebody who has let their standards drop across the board every Saturday, Sunday, there's obviously 52 weeks in a year. That's 104 days a year where you're letting your standards drop. I remember reading that a while ago, and it's like one of those things, like it's an obvious fact, but it's actually when you read it and you actually acknowledge it and you're like, oh my God, it's like it's a 30 year a year. And again, it doesn't always have to be like you binge all weekend and you don't move off the couch, but it's like the little things. It's like reading the book. It's like if you go Monday, Friday for a little walk before your shift and then you don't at the weekend, it's like your standards drop. It is, say if you go out every Saturday, you can go out every Saturday, but you don't have to have a bottle of wine every Saturday, that type of thing. It's like if everybody could keep their Monday, Friday standards throughout the weekend, the success rate of people on their fitness journeys would be astronomically higher. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I've really realised in the last 6 months, because I'll be very open for the podcast. Obviously, we went to Malaga, and obviously I was in the middle of obviously prepping for the photo shoot, and I'd done really, really well for nutrition, because I'm somebody that when things like biscuits and crisps and that, I just don't buy them. Because it's like that. There was still the old part of Connor that would still be maybe a wee little jammy dodger here, a wee little bag of crisps here. So I didn't do that. And then I went to Malaga, and obviously there was like the snacks cupboard, and I'll fully admit that it was like the devil on my shoulder, that the old part of me came out again. And that was a realization, because it wasn't good that I'd done it, but it was good that I realized that I was like, okay, I'm actually not as far along in my relationship with food as I think I am. But what that's meant in the last few months is that like I now don't have to be, it's like all in, but healthily all in. It's like I'm all in throughout the week, but I'm not just like cutting out everything. And when you can learn how to maintain standards throughout the week while still actually enjoying life, you're going to make so much more success, because people think that having to be good with your food means eating like a rabbit and just not having any enjoyment. It's like no, I still eat things I like. I still have a chocolate every now and again, but it's because I maintain my standards throughout Monday, Sunday. I don't have to worry about the whole, I'm feeling bad on a Monday because I was bad at the weekend.
Yeah, it's a shift that takes so many folk a long period of time to go through, man, and it's hard. Like, it's hard when you've got 20 plus years of learned behaviours, man, that you just have that are automatic and default. And it's the saying I love is like not letting perfect get in the way of good. Like, you just need to just not let get perfect get in the way of good, and just keep doing the thing. And that was a light bulb moment for me that I had the same one years ago, man, where I was like, here, you can actually maintain a really good standard of health, a really good standard of physique. And I spoke about it recently as well. It's like the difference between being like what you mentioned there is what I would call being carefree, but a lot of folk are reckless, but they think they're being carefree.
Yeah,
they're just reckless. And it's that recklessness that folk have got no grasp on, and that's the bit that alerts so many folk when they come into the program, and it's why we get really good results. It's like, because there is a blueprint and there's a fundamental, but like one of the things I'll say is like, I need you to discuss with me when you're going out for the first time, and I need you to walk me through your thought process, your reasoning, and your rationale, because that's the thing that's fucked.
Yeah.
That's the bit that folk don't have. Anyone can follow a nutrition protocol when they don't have anything on. Anyone can follow a training program when they don't have anything on. That's easy. It's actually easy. It's people's mindset, guilt, shame, beliefs around all these like reckless behaviours they have, and they think it's warranted. They think that they need to do it. I say to folk, like, the thing that you think you want to do, you won't want to do it anymore. It's not that you won't want to go on holiday, you won't want to go a weekend away, you won't want to go out for dinner. You just realise that the way that you're doing it right now is actually sabotaging you.
Yeah. And
it makes you feel awful. You don't actually like it. What you're associating is the feeling that you get in the moment. If I'm dead gluttonous and I scran hundreds of food, I feel good in that moment. Right? It's not saying that like I can't eat those foods again, but the behaviour, the way that I'm doing it is the thing that I need to change and work on, and focal it. But I can't eat it, so you can. Anyone can change because you made it up.
Yeah.
You made it up.
Yeah. Well, it's like the way that I've explained it to a few clients, that it's literally as simple as when you're a kid learning to ride a bike. It's like you're getting buzzing because you're riding the bike. Well, of course you are, because you've got both your parents on the back of the seat pushing it for you. It's like anybody can do that. But it's when, like, you know, one of the hand comes off the bike and then the other one, it's like, if I tell you, Christian, you've got to eat this for breakfast, lunch and dinner and do this in the gym for the next 7 days, and you do, anybody can do that. But it's like when I say, right, when you say to me, mate, I've got a few social plans this weekend, I might have to miss one session. It's like, okay, how can we overcome that? And that's the thing, is like people when they're in the moment, they're good. When they're not in the moment, they're terrible. And it's like what you said, like what you said about perfect and good. It's like you've got perfect here when you're on it, and you've got really, really not perfect when you're not on it. So how can we find this point here? How can we find this point where you're always good? You might have periods where you're maybe a bit below, but that's fine. It might be like one dinner out, and that's totally fine. But it's about learning how can you get back to good straight away. It's like the whole like Friday thing of like, oh, I went out last night, I'll get back to it tomorrow. It's like, no, you went out last night, you get back to it now, today. Yeah. And that's the biggest learning curve that I myself have, because like I'm still not there. Like I'm still not perfect, like by any means. But in the last 6 months, I've actually began to learn. It's like, okay, I've actually got good standards. And it comes with like when you get fitter and when you get stronger in the gym, you start to have more belief in yourself. It's exactly the same with this. Like when you have higher standards and you maintain them, you have more belief in your standards. It's like the longer I've been in RFA, it's like the more I can tell myself in the mirror, you've actually hold yourself to a high standard and actually believe it.
Yeah, it's building up your undeniable stack of evidence.
Exactly, mate. Yeah,
folk just don't trust themselves.
Yeah,
and that's where doing what you said you do comes from. Because it's like you need to do the thing. It doesn't matter how complex it is or how simple it is. You just need to do it. And every time you don't do it or justify not doing it, or there's like an absolute bullshit reason as to why you're not, you're weakening the barrier. Do you know what I mean? You're weakening the foundations, and that's the biggest thing is like what you've done, and what you've really done, mate, is you've thrown the kitchen sink at it and you built up a level of belief in yourself through just having this undeniable stack of evidence that you are who you say you are. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
mate, unbelievable. Who, like, just to kind of round things off, and you've told the story amazingly. I've kind of changed the question for the last question for any of our clients coming on to the live hot seat. In your opinion, who do you think that Ready for Anything is for, in your opinion? I know who it's for, but like, who do you think it's for?
I would say that Ready for, if you feel like you are, so what we spoke about at the very start, I think Ready for Anything is perfect for somebody who has maybe they've achieved something before within their fitness. Like they might have like an understanding of a gym. They might have went through something, but they've got this idea of like they want to achieve this, or they want to become this person, and they just don't know where. They don't know how to get there. What you guys do at RFA is that like you take the ordinary, you take the normal, and you turn them into extraordinary. What I would say is that people for RFA is like in the best way possible. RFA is not built to be easy. It's not meant to be easy. And people that come into RFA, every single person that's in RFA is a grafter. And that's because that's what you guys like replicate. It's because you and Ailey are like two of the hardest working people, both business wise and fitness wise, that I know. And I would say that if you're ever somebody who has felt like you are that one person and you're never going to change, if you maybe feel like you've maybe been the same person that you were since school, and you're stuck in this, basically, if you just feel like you're in a rut all the time, RFA will get you out of it. And if you feel like you're somebody who is never going to be fit, or is never going to be as fit as that person that you see online, imagine the best possible version of you, somebody that like, when you're having those moments when you're in bed at night and you have that 10-minute period where you just sit and look at the wall and you're like, I wish I could just do X, Y, Z. Have you ever had those thoughts and the same part of your brain's like, yeah, okay, you're never going to achieve that. So what RFA does, takes you to that next point, or the end point, as you call it.
Couldn't put it more perfect myself, mate. Unbelievable. Yeah. And yeah, I love you gave me chills, mate, when you said about the ordinary to the extraordinary.
Yeah,
love that, mate. That should be our new fucking concept, man. Get rid of doing what I said I would do.
Commission. I'll take commission.
No, man, but thanks very much for coming on, mate.
My pleasure.
I'm very, very excited for your future, mate. So many good things coming up. Lots of events, lots of challenges, and lots of glass ceilings to be broken, mate. Very, very excited. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. I hope you took a lot away from it. Obviously, if you're interested in obviously joining the ranks and going through the same journey that Connor has went through, if you can relate to that and that last point and resonate with that, hit the link below that's about this video somewhere. Get yourself booked in for a call. Go and have a check out. Go and look at our website. Go and have a scan through it. And if you need any more evidence that this is going to help you do that, then obviously drop me a message and we'll have a chat. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. See you later. Goodbye.